Welcome to this short video. This will be an introduction to the concept of datafication. First, a word on data. Data does not naturally exist, but only emerges through a process of abstraction. Something is taken from things and processes, something which has not already been there before in discrete form. Data is the material produced by abstracting the world into categories, measures, and other representational forms that constitute building blocks from which information and knowledge are created. The term data could also be replaced with the Latin term capta, what is captured, as data is harvested from people's lives. Broadly speaking, datafication refers to the quantification of human life through digital information. Datafication combines two processes. First, the transformation of human life into data through processes of quantification. This can take many forms, but often involves an app or platform. This requires to encourage people to use the app or platform that is organizing their habits so that life actions previously performed elsewhere, such as hailing a taxi or communicating with friends, become actions performed via the app. Even more importantly, the process of quantification involves abstraction, via the process of turning the flow of social life and social meaning into streams of numbers that can be counted. Secondly, the generation of different kinds of value from data. Data is being monetized by using such data to sell products or services to users, or by selling the data to parties wishing to influence or persuade users towards various goals. The first domain of datafication was business, not social life. Even today, the amount of data generated by commerce exceeds the amount of data generated by the datafication of human life. But who are the actors of datafication? Actors are those who can produce, collect, and analyze data for different purposes. For example, corporations, states, and various civic and even non-state actors like terrorists and hackers. Big actors are responsible for the bulk of datafication in our lives. For example, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon in the West, and their Chinese counterparts Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and Xiaomi. Small actors can be called the social quantification sector, including hardware, software, platforms, data analytics, data brokerage firms, and even spammers. In some countries, the connection between different actors can be very close. For example, the Chinese government seeking to extract data from corporations to monetize their citizens. Corporations are the main actors in and beneficiaries of datafication, with the government in many countries having a strong stake in the process as well. But who owns the data and who has the power? Data is being owned by either individuals who generate the data by living their lives, or by the owners of the infrastructure, meaning actors within a platform or an app. The latter usually demand the individual's data ownership in exchange for using the respective platform or app without a fee. Regulatory schemes, such as the GDPR and the EU, try to intervene in this relationship, so individuals keep the ownership in the data. Legal theory criticizes the datafication by arguing that it threatens the basic rights of the self. The GDPR argues the protection of natural persons in relation to the processing of personal data is a fundamental right. Some scholars argue that datafication can be understood as a colonial process, a new mode of data colonialism that appropriates human life so that data can be continuously extracted from it for the benefit of particular interests. Instead of territories, natural resources, and enslaved labor, data colonialism appropriates social resources. While the modes, intensities, scales, and context of data colonialism are different from those of historic colonialism, the function remains the same: to dispossess. Why and how to resist against datafication? Datafication can obviously benefit some actors, but it can also be used to discriminate against others on the basis of race, gender, class, and so forth. Through datafication, individuals become dependent on external or privatized data measurements to tell us who we are, what we're feeling, and what we should be doing, which challenges our basic conception of human agency and knowledge. Practices of datafication are becoming an accepted new paradigm for understanding social behavior, with a means to access and monitor people's behavior, according to Van Dijk. Humans generate behavioral data, which is being collected by actors and then used to influence and predict humans' actions. Zuboff, 2019, argues that the current datafication is a new stage of surveillance capitalism. What if the problem is not the data per se, but with how and by whom data is collected and used? So how to resist? Just like the colonial project involved the separation of the world into centers and peripheries, datafication as a form of rationality also creates peripheral or paranodal things that cannot be quantified, and so, in principle, cannot be datafied. Various forms of resistance, from the ineffective but strategic opting out of individual platforms to a larger awareness of ourselves as the objects of datafication, can contribute to creating challenges and alternatives to the growth of datafication. Whether such resistance becomes successful in halting certain aspects of datafication remains uncertain, but datafication can be considered as one of the major social questions of our time. Thank you for listening to this short video on datafication.